Doubles and Coffee, Rowley shut down your refinery. Your refinery that was earning you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, profit and billions and billions of US dollars annually. Rowley shut it down on its own volition. No Petrotrin board, no experts told Rowley to shut it down. Winfred Espine, the chairman of Petrotrin, who replaced the board that was fired when they decided to investigate just huge amounts of oil just coming out of the ground by one of Rowley bareback cussing partners. The board that replaced them, Winfred Espine, said under oath in the labor court that we, the board, never told the government to shut down Petrotrin. Rowley is on record with Kamal Georges and on platforms saying that the board told them to shut it down, that they had advice to shut it down. Rowley lied. So now we are in a position where we, Trinidad and Tobago, involved in the oil industry since 1908, we are buying marine fuel, bunkering it, and selling it for profit, buying it from Jamaica. And some gentleman named Anthony Paul, an expert who I don't know, because he's not known to be overtly critical of any government, he's an expert in the industry. He has some concerns about the deal to bunker marine fuel and what are the contractual arrangements, what's the benefit, who is benefiting, what is the price, and so on. Well, let me ask you all something, because me and Mr. Anthony Paul. Are you concerned? Are you concerned as a country that had a refinery, that all of a sudden now, Jamaica, whose little refinery had previous connections to Venezuela, and then Petrojam had to be taken over and bought out, the Venezuelan shareholders had to be bought out, and Jamaica produces, they drill, no oil comes out of their rocks. But here we are in Trinidad and Tobago with Keith Christopher Rowley and Stuart Smallpin Young, the two clowns who closed down the refinery, and the refinery, our refinery, the People Refinery, remains closed up to this day, 7 years later. Do you want information on this bunkering deal? What is the price? How much marine fuel oil? 6 months, 8 months, what's the price? What price you're purchasing at? What price you're selling it for? Who is the bunkerer? Because we also learned that Rowley's senior counsel, who know nothing about bunkering oil, never in the oil industry, was gifted a bunkering contract by Rowley. Rowley's Gate neighbor, Gilbert Peterson, I'm not hearing you. How were you so lucky to get that contract for bunkering? If you have no expertise, how did a committee of people analyze your experience, your knowledge, your information, your balance sheet, your assets, and award you a bunkering contract over other citizens who have been in the industry for a while? Gilbert Peterson answer now, because that's like, nobody went to law school, they didn't get an LLB, they didn't go to Hugh Woodin, they didn't spend 10 years arguing cases and so on. And then they get a $20 million, $30 million, $50 million brief as a senior counsel. Could that happen, Gilbert Peterson? Or are there rules, are there norms, are there conventions that espouse transparency, accountability, fairness, equity, and uphold the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago, that every citizen should have a fair opportunity to take part in the spoils of the nation? Answer that, Mr. Gilbert Peterson, Senior Counsel. How was it that your company, just formed, won a lucrative bunkering contract? And I asked Paria, because Paria comes out with a statement, no third party, just this fuel oil is being, marine fuel oil is being purchased from Petrojam, it's being bunkered and then sold. Ooh, who's bunkering? Who's bunkering it, Paria? You? Paria? Do you have bunkering facilities? Or do you contract those bunkering facilities out to companies that are owned by other individuals? So we want information. So I give you this whole run-up, as if I'm going to bowl a pace delivery, to ask y'all if y'all are concerned about the fact that Trinidad and Tobago, the oil and gas industry, blessed by God with oil and gas since 1908, if y'all are concerned about this purchasing agreement with Petrojam for marine fuel, seeing that your refinery is closed, what is the pricing? What is the profit margin? What were the other competitors globally for marine fuel oil? Do you just want the information? Because Mr. Anthony Paul, an expert in the industry, has problems and was asking questions and stating that we need transparency and accountability and information on this deal because it involves the state assets, people's money. Paria is not Rowley Company, never mind Newman George, his friend and golfing brother and partner is running it. It's not Rowley's fiefdom. But do you know what Rowley did? And this is the critical thing. This man, Anthony Paul, that I didn't know, and I'm now researching, has been an energy expert for 40 years. He's been working and consulting and volunteering with government since 2004, 20 years. He has not criticized Rowley or his government or any government overtly, because I don't even know him. Rowley says because this man has questions about this deal, that you have questions. See, we're dealing with rational people, right? You have questions, not so? So Mr. Anthony Paul has questions about this bunkering marine oil deal with Petrojam. Listen to what Rowley does in public to attack this man called Anthony Paul. And I tell you this to show you the character, the disgusting nature, the vindictiveness and wickedness, the evil of Keith Christopher Rowley. When he opening, cutting some ribbon down in South for some houses, this is what Rowley says, referring to a Mr. Anthony Paul, a consultant, an expert in energy. If we had paid, this is Rowley, Mr. Paul, the 2.5 million he had requested for a little job. A little job? What job? Now this is Rowley just divulging secret bidding information on consultancy contracts that go on across the government throughout. Some win, some lose. But because a gentleman wants to ask simple questions and wants information about the nation's resources and the deals that we are getting, if it's valuable, if it's worthwhile, and if the people will benefit to the maximum. A man asking for transparency and accountability. And Rowley, who is normally lazy, somebody had to research all of this from him, because Rowley don't research. So he had to get this information from the Ministry of Energy. Who is the Minister of Energy? So Rowley says, if we had paid Mr. Paul the 2.5 million he had requested for a little job, I researched what was that little job. That little job was not for Mr. Paul. It was for some consultants to mentor and teach young people, as the elders in the industry were getting on in age and they needed experts in a field that requires expert knowledge. So it was an ongoing mentoring, teaching, guidance system to teach our young people in the field what to do, how to do, and how to negotiate. Now, had Smallpin and Rowley gone into that course, then NGC would not have made a loss. Because when them went and finished negotiation in 2017, Trinidad and Tobago lost everything we had. Rowley continued. Way up in the early part of the last administration, wait. So this proposal by Mr. Anthony for his consultants to conduct classes and to teach young people and to be mentors and experts to guide and share their knowledge was quite in 2015, 2016. So Rowley is saying to you, the people, that this man is such a nasty man. He didn't win a contract back in 2016. So he come in 2025 to bad talk a deal that you find is bad. That you, the people, find. Any normal, rational person finds it's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. We are a laughing stock. So Rowley decides to attack this citizen, this human being. He continued from since 2016, So the man hold a grouse, according to Rowley, that nasty clown. That man hold a grouse for 9 years just to get vengeance and revenge on Rowley with a petrojam that Trinidad buying marine fuel from Jamaica. The early part of the administration, which I led, he might not have been on television now talking foolishness. Well, if the man is talking foolishness, then all of you are fools also, because you all want the same information that the man wants. I take, says Rowley, serious umbrage at people like that with their personal grouse. So Rowley just going to attack the man. Can't answer what the questions the man asks, can't provide the information, would not tell you why we are doing this, how we are doing this, who is bunkering the fuel, where the fuel come from, why we doing it, who are the competitors, what is the price, if we were refining it, what would be the margins, how much more profit would we have made if the refinery was open, making this marine fuel oil rather than purchasing it from somebody else. Rowley continues, he was in fact very early in our tenure, one of the geologists who could have done something for this country, but his price was too high. Really? But then the man came out and said, well, it was a proposal, cabinet approved the proposal, but then Rowley and his cabinet decided to go with foreigners. So Rowley, if the local price was 2.5 million and you're attacking a man because his price was so expensive, tell the country how much the foreigners are being paid to do the same job. Tell us. And all your media, all your PNM media, go and ask him, because he comes like a sick bully to attack a human being who just talking as an expert when the energy sector has been decimated by him and Small Pin, and we are suffering, our children are suffering, future generations are suffering, and this arrogant buffoon called Rowley takes a bully pulpit to attack a citizen because an expert says, whoa, wait, we need information, what is this? And to parry and Newman George, you say no third party involved? I'm asking you, who is bunkering the fuel for the 6 months? Which company is bunkering it? Paria, are you bunkering it in-house? Or one of your contracted companies that you gave a lucrative bunkering contract to, given the bunkering license or the bunkering opportunity for this? Answer, Newman George, you clown. And to Keith Christopher Rowley, you vindictive, wicked little man. That is why the people would reject you and Small Pin, who gave you all your information, to attack Mr. Anthony, just like Small Pin as Minister of National Security, the second worst in history. Sorry, third worst, 3 PNM. Fitzgerald et Albert Hines, Martin Joseph, and then Stuart Small Pin Young. When a young man got up on the stage to talk in La Hoqueta and say he wants opportunity, that Small Pin went and looked up the man, the young boy record, and say he was a criminal and gave it, and gave out his information and so on. That is the kind of vindictive nature of the PNM. Rowley talking about grouse. Rowley, why you was vexed with Manning back in 2007? Wasn't it because somebody didn't get a contract and he attacked called a heart, Rowley? You talking about grouse? Rowley, you at your 69th convention of the PNM, you make your little speech in front of a few sycophants in Napa. And when you walk off the stage, Rowley, you shake hands with everybody except Penelope Beckles and Jennifer Baptiste Primus. Such a little childish, immature fool you are. And you talking about grouse? You talking about another human being who just wants information on our resources? Rowley, you are the most vindictive, idiotic human being on God green earth. What about the Police Service Commission? You vexed with somebody, so you go on by the president to withdraw a merit list? What about the Beetham wastewater plant, when you call a whole motion of no confidence, and then at the end, I catch you and I tell you, stand up. Did you ever have any interest in any wastewater plant at Beetham? And you lied twice on Hansard and said no. And I showed from 1997 you had an interest representing businessmen who wanted to do a Beetham wastewater plant. Rowley, you are sick, and for you people, you cannot accept that from Rowley. Because Mr. Anthony is you.